Night of the Living Dead is my favorite horror movie of all time. Seriously, I don't care that it's in black and white. This movie shaped my love for the zombie genre, as well as give respect to the black and white style of filmmaking. Even though at this time, movies were already in color and stuff. The sparse use of music and action, the tension that the movie builds with each scene, and of course the actual haunting images that stuck with me to this very day. The movie stars Dwayne Jones, Marilyn Eastman, Judith O'Dea, Carl Hardman, Judith Ridley, and Keith Wayne. The big thing about the movie was the casting of Dwayne Jones as the lead, during a time when racism and discrimination was still the biggest thing on the streets, and the death of Martin Luther King had just happened when George Romero finished editing the film. So imagine how big and also how surprising it would have been to see a movie with a black lead in 1968. Dwayne Jones' character was originally going to be a truck driver who was kinda dumb, but Dwayne ended up changing his character from a dumb trucker to a man he felt would be like an everyman, just trying to find out what's going on and using his wits and his own ingenuity to survive. Which makes sense since Dwayne Jones was actually a really smart man himself, graduating from the University of Paris while studying acting. This movie popularized the concept of fire actually holding the zombies at bay, the slow, shambling movement we've come to know and love, and of course, the zombie genre as a whole. George A. Romero was influenced by the novel I Am Legend, from the ideas of monsters attacking due to a mysterious plague or virus, to the monsters themselves, dangerous, lumbering, preying on the uninfected, and attacking in hordes. Originally titled Monster Flick, this movie was written as a three-part story, with each part being a different movie. The first part was Night of the Living Dead, the second was Dawn of the Dead, and the last part was Day of the Dead. Pretty cool, nice that they kept those parts as well. Some people would have probably tried to condense the whole script to fit the movie, but I'm glad they made the other parts to continue the series and the movies. Anyways, the movie starts off with Barbara and her brother Johnny driving to visit their father's grave. They reach it and Johnny starts fucking with Barbara.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now.
Barbara is suddenly attacked by a strange man, and Johnny saves her, but gets killed when his head strikes into a headstone nearby. Barbara runs and escapes in the car, but crashes it after the man beats a brick against the window. She escapes towards a farmhouse, finding a dead corpse and more strange people converging on her location. She then meets Ben, another survivor who doesn't know what's going on, and he fights off the strange people and barricades the house up. Later they find that other survivors have held up in the cellar of the house, a family, Harry, Helen, and Karen Cooper, and a couple, Tom and Judy. The Cooper's car was overturned by those monsters and he and his family escaped and found the farmhouse, but Karen was unfortunately bitten by one of them. And Tom and Judy arrived at the farmhouse after hearing about a series of gruesome murders, figuring that they could hide out there. Harry Cooper argues that hiding in the cellar and waiting for the catastrophe to blow over would be the safest solution, but Ben and the others decide that being trapped in the small cellar would be a death trap, and decide it would be more better to barricade the house and fight where they could have more room to maneuver, as well as see what's coming. Soon they find a radio and television set and find out that the recently dead are rising and eating the flesh of the living, supposedly due to radiation from a recently returned Venus space probe that exploded upon breaking into the Earth's atmosphere, much to the horror and disbelief of the group. They soon barricade the house up and plan to use Ben's truck to escape. They find that there is a gas pump near the house, so they go in Ben's truck to refuel it, and use it to escape to a nearby local rescue center. Ben and Tom go to refill the truck, but Judy follows them, fearing for Tom's safety. As they refill the truck, Tom accidentally spills gasoline on the truck, igniting it. Tom drives the truck away from the pump, but as he and Judy try to escape, her jacket gets caught in the truck door.
My jacket's caught.
The truck explodes, killing Tom and Judy, who are then eaten by the ghouls. Ben fights his way back to the house, but Cooper doesn't let him in, fearing that he'll let the ghouls in. Furious, Ben forces his way in, beating the shit out of Cooper, and telling him that he'll feed him to those things because of his cowardice.
I'll drag you out there and feed you those things!
They find out that only shooting the ghouls in the head or with enough blunt force with an object will kill them. And they also find out that various posses are roaming the countryside, killing the ghouls and restoring order. Cooper wants to hide out in the cell, but wants the gun also to protect himself and his family. The ghouls attack the house, destroying the barricades and making Ben and the others fight to restore them. Cooper seizes the opportunity and grabs Ben's rifle, ordering Helen to leave and get in the cellar. While he's distracted yelling at his wife, Ben flings a piece of the barricade at Cooper, knocking the gun away. They wrestle for the gun, and Ben gets it, shoots Cooper, and watches as the monsters break the main barricade at the front door, grabbing Helen. Cooper stumbles down into the cellar and with his last breath of life walks towards his daughter, and dies nearby her. Finally, after only sitting around looking like a piece of the scenery, Barbara rises to rescue Helen, only to then get grabbed by the ghouls now. Helen abandons her, goddamn, and rushes down to the cellar, only to see her daughter eating her husband's arm, shocking her. She then gets killed by her daughter in a scene that, as a kid, haunted me. The high-pitched screaming, the echoes of her dying screams, the black blood because of the black and white, the shadow of the trowel stabbing her, her daughter's face covered by her hair. This shit used to give me nightmares, man. But now that I'm older, this scene is just so kick-ass. Definitely one of my favorite horror movie scenes ever. Upstairs, the monsters break through, and Barbara sees Johnny, now a member of the ghouls, and she gets taken by him into the horde, getting devoured. Ben escapes down into the cellar, barricading the door and killing the reanimating corpses of Harry and Helen. He survives the night and walks out of the cellar. He hears voices and is suddenly shot dead by the posse of rednecks that have now passed onto the property of the farmhouse. With Ben dead, the last remaining survivors are now lost. That ending scene is probably one of my favorites too. The haunting soundtrack played over the voiceovers of the rednecks talking and the dogs barking.
Keep those dogs back off of those things!
The radio chatter, seeing Ben being put into the pile of dead bodies right next to the very same ghoul that chased Barbara in the beginning. Pretty chilling. This ending is very melancholic, grim, and just depressing. Seeing the hero, Ben, survive by being smart and resourceful only to get killed like it was nothing had a huge impact on me. Not only did I see the death of my favorite character in the movie, but I also saw a disturbing reality to the scene. If you see something moving in the distance, in a world that is slowly being taken by flesh-eating monsters, wouldn't your first reaction be shoot first, look later? Instead of calling out to Ben or whatever they perceived him to be, they just shot him down like nothing. Like what he just went through and survived didn't matter, and that always stuck with me. No matter how hard he tried to survive, in the end he was done in by his own kind. By humans, not those monsters. This movie, along with the original Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, are the movies that got me into horror, suspense, and all that gory glory. Sure, this movie is in black and white, so you can't really enjoy the gore or blood. But wait, they released a colorized version of the classic. And for all the times I've seen this movie, I've never seen the version with color. But man, am I glad I checked it out. Being able to see the blood in color instead of black, and the gore, while not as spectacular as Dawn of the Dead's or hell, even Day of the Dead's, it's a welcome treat. I love this movie. It's easily within my top 15 movies of all time. It's old, the black and white's not really for everyone, but I mean the style it presented, the suspense, the horror, the sick images are reasons why this zombie movie, hell, this horror movie is one that you should definitely check out. Highly recommend both the black and white version and the colored version. Take your pick and enjoy the fun. You can watch them here on YouTube for free too if you so desire. So thanks for watching, and be careful when you walk home alone at night, because you never know what might be lurking in the shadows.